And whether you believe it or not, it is live from Van Allen's attic. Republican content. Okay, we are
happy Halloween.
Happy. Whatever. We're almost there. We're almost there. Well, pick up your crap. Your creative crap. Ah yes. We have to have creative crap around the old house.
We have to create the whole thing now. All right.
I love it. I love it. I love being in television. I gotta be on television. Even though I'm dead, I still want to be on television. I'm Donald Trump.
No, he's on a weight loss. He's on Jenny Craig. Yeah, I think he overdid it.
Here, go trick or treating, Kevin. Here, take your stuff. Okay, there's dead candy in that bucket.
Oh, wait a minute.
Show them the dead candy. Show it up.
Hershey's. Endless candy. Oh wait, here's another one.
This candy has been in there for 18 years. I kid you not.
And I bet you it still tastes good.
I dug it in. Are you going to try it? Are you going to be the guinea pig?
No.
All right, put it in.
I'm not that hungry.
Put it in the bucket. Put it in the bucket.
I tell you, if you would ask me like this morning, I would have eaten it.
Oh, did we get Stanley Kubrick on there?
Yeah, well, not a moment to lose.
Got to get Stanley Kubrick in there.
Creator of the greatest horror movie of all time.
I'm telling you how to direct this movie. You got to move the camera. I don't want the camera here. Yes.
He directed the greatest horror film of all time, Full Metal Jacket.
Oh boy, yeah. That was pretty hard.
Woo! There's Friedrich Nietzsche. He's going to tell us what to think.
Ist das Freuden, die Freudenheiden, aus das das sprach Zarathustra. Ja, ja. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, we're here. We got to sit down and do something.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Welcome to Van Allen's attic.
Yes,
and my name. I'm your announcer.
My
name is Kaye Lazar.
You're our congenital host, and I'm your other
too much con and not enough genital.
And I'm Keith Van Allen.
Yes.
And we are
great
here
tonight.
Thank you.
Love your baseball.
My weird. You're
going as a baseball player.
Weird, wonderful shirt. Yeah, I bought this shirt a long time ago. I can't remember when, but it was one of my favorite. I've seen old pictures of me wearing it, and I said, well, maybe I'll wear it again.
Yeah, you look good.
Yeah.
Now this I actually bought this.
I got to put a spigot on my head just to give it the final touch, you know.
Turn the spigot and the grains run out.
Just oozes out.
Yes.
The cauliflower.
I
I got this jacket in Italy. It's the pistachio collection.
I believe you're right.
The pistachio collection.
That's pistachio color or Pugent green or what is chartreuse?
Yeah, it was a white shirt. And then I had a date
chartreuse.
I had a date with Linda Blair, and then one thing led to another.
Oh.
I nauseated her so much.
Trouble with dating Linda Blair, you never know which end you're kissing. You go to kiss one end and it turns around.
Oh man, isn't that something?
Your mother sewed socks in hell.
Okay, that works.
I once ran into Linda Blair at the Comic-Con here in Richmond.
You're not kidding.
Yeah, she was here, just signing autographs.
Really?
But I didn't have the $40-$50 to get her autograph.
You had to pay.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point. They're there to make money, yeah. You can see them, and sometimes they, that you could shake their hand, but basically you're not going to get anything from them. And
we got patriotic content over there.
We're good.
We got Mad magazines in here if you want to pull them out.
I'll read them later.
Yeah.
I've read too much Mad magazine over there.
I grew up with them.
Yeah, no.
I got them memorized. Well, they were great. They were great.
You told me that you once saw William M. Gaines.
Yes, I did. I did. I was up there trying to sell a TV series with a guy, and we were walking around in the West End of Manhattan, over there where a lot of the artsy people live and stuff. And the guy I was with said, "Hey, look, there's William M. Gaines." And I looked, right going by us was this big purple Rolls Royce. I mean, shiny purple. He had it painted. It was one of the classic silver ghosts, from the 60s. Yeah. And there was William just riding.
Oh, he's driving.
He's driving his own thing.
Driving his own car.
Yeah, going to work, I guess. Going down to Madison Avenue. And,
Mad Magazine. Oh, listen to this. My mother did not want me reading Mad Magazine. She actually wanted me to read Playboy instead because listen to this. For one thing, she wanted me to get more interested in girls instead of like Mad Magazine. But the other thing was,
hell, they drew some pretty good girls in Mad Magazine.
But Mad Magazine was irreverent and
subverting the society,
and thumbs its nosers.
And my mom must have picked it up. Think for an.
And my mom did not want that.
No.
She wanted me to be a strict conformist.
Oh
my! What a fruitless endeavor that was.
My mother never did that. She might make a wry comment about those old Mad magazines, but my dad loved them. My dad was a cartoonist, and my brother and all. We were all. She couldn't get rid of them. But I had a cousin, and her mother, who was my first cousin, she would try to get her to stop reading, but she didn't.
It was like the best magazine.
The damage was done. Yeah, it was great.
It was. There was no ads in it.
I don't know how they pulled that off, but they sold enough of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes in a few they might have put a little teeny ads in the back, but I don't think
advertised
they ever
for
did.
the magazine. You could buy the paper.
Yeah, William M. Gaines, for whatever he was worth, he was an incredible magazine.
He ran it on a shoe
publisher. Yeah, the guys that worked for him didn't get paid. But he took
paid in glamour.
But they took him. He took them every year. He would take all the artists and writers on a big trip to South America, and they'd rent a whole floor in not Barcelona, but maybe they went to
Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, somewhere.
Buenos Aires.
Yeah, somewhere like that. And they would just hang out there.
A lot of places in South America, and I think it all started. There was one subscriber in some far off island or somewhere, or in some far off place in South America. Took the whole staff there, and they converged on him. It was part publicity too, to convince him to renew his subscription. I mean, that was the whole point of that.
I thought you were going to say the maitre d'. They converged on him. Said, "Get these people out of my hotel."
I thought I would have loved it. Oh, there's more Tucker. There's Al.
Keep talking. I got to get my coffee.
There's
I gotta get my coffee.
Yes. I could talk.
You could talk at the
At
side of
length
your,
about
you
Mad
could talk at the
Magazine.
side of your ear. I know.
Mad Magazine. I just loved.
Well,
Yeah.
pull out.
Where's your
some-
coffee?
I mean, pull
Oh,
out.
God! I thought it was downstairs or upstairs, wherever we are.
Yeah.
I never like to give out the whereabouts of your attic.
No. Well, it's under the roof.
Do you know
It's
I once
in the
took a
house.
picture with my phone once, and somebody said I know exactly where that picture was
Yeah,
taken,
can
and
do
they
that.
and you could actually trace it from the phone taken from your picture and your phone taken. And now everybody knows that. I did not know that like about two years ago.
I don't want people
And
to know where I.
So I have my own
I'm in
little
another dimension.
Kodak camera. You know, it takes good pictures, but you cannot tell when I take a picture at an intersection of. You cannot tell where it was taken, which I kind of like that part of it.
What?
Okay,
if you do take a picture,
yeah, I'll
you'll-
show you.
I
Well,
could
you know what
figure
a
it out.
phone. You know what a phone is. So this is a real camera here. So when I take a picture, like say I'm in a car accident or something, which actually did happen, and you take the picture with this thing, they cannot tell where the other person took pictures with their cell phone, and they could pinpoint it to the
Yeah.
the parking lot.
With a little
the Walmart
knowledge,
parking
with a
lot.
little knowledge of the city, you can do
Yeah.
that.
I'm talking
I'm
it's
good at
just
that.
Google Maps or whatever, just pinpointed where the picture was taken.
Oh, really? They got
Yeah,
the
they
algorithm.
they knew
Oh, those
they-
algorithms. They got.
I mean, they actually knew the
Somebody,
parking space.
we ought to do a horror movie about algorithms. There,
Yeah.
the mind of the machine. Everything is everywhere, taking over everything.
Yeah.
Figure it out. They can think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the technology is running away with us. But I guess that's the way it is.
Yes, it is. Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy. Hi.
I want to animate him. I
He
think
lives,
I think I could do it,
He lives.
frame by frame.
He kicks it old school.
Yeah.
And
Da-da.
play that scary music. Or something.
I don't know.
It'll come.
Yeah, it'll come.
Yeah.
That's all I know. I'm gonna set
You
you.
don't. You know that.
Actually, I do know.
Don't you know that dun 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 dun?
Yeah, I
that
think-
comes later. Yeah.
You got to practice that.
Franz Liszt,
Franz Liszt.
Hungarian Rhapsody.
When
number
I
2.
started playing piano in my teens, I started taking lessons. You know, you're
Yeah.
supposed to get all these simple little books like Dick and Jane books.
Oh, yeah.
I went out and bought that.
Yeah.
Because I'd seen Bugs Bunny do it, and I thought, well, I have to do it. And Bugs got me going in wanting to play piano and everything. And then later I met Frizz Freely,
That's right.
and he liked my animation.
Yeah, yeah.
But he said, that's good. But he was too old to hire me. He just gone out of business. You know, that was after he'd
They
done
keep
it.
those jobs forever. Then.
Well, those guys started in the 20s.
Yeah,
You know, Frizz started with Walt Disney in
Yeah.
Kansas City
yeah.
in the 20s. And then when Walt went out to California, Frizz went out there and Up Iworks
Yeah.
and those guys, just a little group. And they were doing Oswald the Rabbit in the silent days.
Mhm.
And one day, Frizz was taking a break from work, and he went out and took a tour on one of those double-decker buses.
Yeah.
He'd sit up on top
Yeah.
of the tour of Hollywood bus.
Yeah.
And who came up behind him in his Moon automobile
Yeah.
was a car called Moon back then.
Yeah.
And it was Walt Disney,
I have.
his boss. And then Frizz was sitting up there kind of taking it all in, and there's his boss right behind him.
I thought Frizz was a Warner Brothers. He was with Disney too.
He started at Disney.
He started. They all started. With Disney.
Yeah, a lot of them did. Most
Yeah.
of them did. That's
Yeah.
you know, they asked. I was there with Frizz when they asked him why he came out to California, and he said, "Well, that's where Walt was."
It's hard.
It was a small group, And there wasn't very much animation being done in Hollywood at that time. It was all back east in New York.
Oh, okay.
Fleischer was already doing stuff, and Bray Studio was one of the early ones, and there's a whole history there.
Gertie the Dinosaur.
Yeah, no, that's very early. That's
like the oldest.
That is
one of the oldest.
Winsor McKay.
Yeah.
Who did he did a comic strip, and he was doing his animation. He was just a drawing machine, and he did it perfectly, very realistically in perspective, and he didn't even have backgrounds at first. He had to have an assistant just tracing. Yeah. He'd trace over the background over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. The first time I ever heard of Fritz was I'm just a kid.
Well, Fritz was from Kansas City, I think.
He did what at the time was the new thing, the Pink Panther cartoons.
Yeah.
And then the first time I ever heard of Chuck Jones, obviously, When the Grinch Stole Christmas. And then once I got into animation, these guys were powerhouses with Warner Brothers.
Well, yeah, underpaid powerhouses. They were doing great stuff. Leon Schlesinger didn't pay him a whole lot, but he left them alone. He says, as long as they were funny, that's great. He had a list. That's where Daffy Duck and Sylvester got their list. They were doing imitations of their boss. And he used to say, Walt Disney does chicken salad. I do chicken shit. See you later, fellas. I'm going out on my yacht. He was a producer at Warner Brothers handling titles, what later became Pacific Titles. They just, all they did was produce the titles for the movies.
Yeah.
It's a small section of the big studio, and he was in charge of that at one point, or he had an ownership of it. Anyway, they converted that into the animation department.
Yeah.
Mainly because they had the right kind of camera.
Yeah.
They were a copy stand. An animation stand is basically, this is old technical weird stuff that nobody cares about anymore, but it's basically a copy stand.
Yeah.
Camera mounted vertically and artwork down here, and you have a glass thing you put down on it. You can control the lighting and click up. The funny thing is, when I started at Steve Siegel in Richmond, Steve had taken an old copy stand and converted it to an animation stand too. It's the same old tricks.
Yeah. When I think of titles, I think of Saul Bass. All those great titles. In fact,
was
the
very
titles
good.
on a movie or even a TV show, the signature of the show.
Yeah, Saul Bass. I'd like to learn more about. Maybe there's a documentary on him, but he was quite good.
Near the end of his career, Martin Scorsese had him working quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah, he did Goodfellas, and he did
a lot of movies. Yeah. He didn't do character animation so much. Maybe he did hire some. He did the titles, beautiful titles, graphics, animated graphics. Like one of the classic ones he did was North by Northwest.
Oh, wasn't that great? Yeah.
Where you see the building.
Yeah.
The side of one of those glass towers. And it's going out of perspective, and the camera doesn't move, but the windows are going out of an angle.
Yeah.
And then all the letters, North by Northwest and Alfred, everything green comes up into those and fitting into those windows.
Yeah.
And that's Saul Bass.
It was
and he designed it and everything.
Great marriage you had. You had Bernard Herrmann writing music for Hitchcock films. You had Saul Bass doing titles. You had Hitchcock. You had Cary Grant or Jimmy Stewart in front of the camera.
Yes, Jimmy Stewart in front of the camera. And,
I want Jimmy Stewart behind the camera. Well, now, Cary, you got to move over to the left. Now things have gotten totally combobulated. I don't know how they did, but
you know the theory of every Hitchcock film.
We know what we're talking about, don't we? We know. Oh, get out of here.
You know the theory of every Hitchcock film is that no matter who the male lead was, they all could have been played by either Cary Grant or Jimmy Stewart. But certainly Cary Grant. I'm not sure what Jimmy Stewart.
Well, one's the glamour leading man, and one's the everyday leading man, and it kind of covers a lot of material, a lot of ground. You like Jimmy Stewart to play more of a working guy that everybody can identify with, and you like Cary Grant as the guy that you would aspire to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
They
and he can get every woman, and
yes, he's a great love maker. Yes,
and you can hardly believe he's a Cockney. He was a Cockney.
You know the craziest thing about Cary Grant, and I think this is a serious thing, is that he was married like 5 times, and all his wives, except for the last one, divorced him. He died. And they all divorced him. And I think the problem was when they married Cary Grant, they thought they were marrying the man on screen when actually he's just a typical guy like everybody else.
He was really...
He still has to brush his teeth every morning.
There was one woman he married that he was sorry that he had fooled around on. He was really in love with...
The one with all the
who was the one in the 50s?
Lord's money?
No, the one with the... She starred in a few movies. She was really nice, but she was kind of the girl next door.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Diane Cannon?
No, that was later. I'm talking about in the 50s.
Okay.
What was her name?
I don't know. She was the one, I understand, got him to quit smoking, but he became an LSD addict.
That was Diane Cannon.
Yeah.
But he had an affair with Sophia Loren.
Yeah.
While he was married to this other girl, who's really, really great girl, and you feel bad for her, and you say, well, how could you do it, Cary? But then you have to think Sophia Loren. How could you not do it? You know?
Sophia Loren.
They co-starred together in the not the Glass Bottom, but Houseboat.
Houseboat, yeah.
We're a really nice movie. A nice movie filmed in Northern Virginia, by the way.
Houseboat. How about that?
Yeah, it takes place in Northern Virginia.
Do you know that? Well, I was going to say something about she had a choice when she got married, Sophia Loren, that she could have married Cary Grant, or she could have married a guy almost as old.
Cary was married at that time.
But I mean, she picked over Cary Grant this old,
he was somewhat older
guy.
Well, he was
a producer.
He was, when he married her, he was younger and better looking, but he was a good bit older. But they were a good match, and he was a great producer. He produced Dr. Zhivago.
Yeah.
And a lot of other big movies. Carlo Ponti. Very fine producer.
And it suddenly, when it was brought to my attention about that, and I've actually said this to a bunch of women, asked if she goes, sometimes you meet a guy that just has so much charisma, so much personality, it doesn't really matter what he looks like. He may not be as good looking as Cary Grant, but he will win over Cary Grant. And then I suddenly realized, I should have more. And I'm a young man at the time, in my 20s. I said, if I work hard enough, I could probably get a particular woman I want. And if I don't get her, then there's another woman.
Women are basically the same as men, but turned wrong side outwards. and the doctors have proven that now with the sex changes. But no. When you think about evolution and the amoebas and everything, and we're two halves of the other, but women can be fall prey to the same desires and things in their way, and go crazy.
I never meet those women.
Yeah. Of course, if it happens to you, you still get bloody mad or whatever. If they go off with another guy.
Yeah.
But
when they go off with another guy. Yeah. So I don't know. Sometimes I've been in relationships where things got so bad that kind of wish the guy would come and sweep her off her feet.
Well, that happened to me, and I got saved from the guardian spirits from above. Saved me from her. It took me a while to come to my senses. Yeah. And then a guy who did sweep her off his feet after I left got in touch with me. He wanted to get in touch with my wife. Yeah. I said, look, I don't care. That's fine. If you guys want to get together, it's all right by me. And he said, no, I don't want to get with her. I want to save her soul. He was a born-again Christian. My wife did some stuff. I'm not going to go into it here.
I'm always worried about people who think they could save people.
That's what evangelical Christianity is all about.
Well, I think, in the world I don't understand, maybe God could do that. I don't think a human could do that.
Well,
another human could save something.
I do believe you can be an instrument of God.
Yeah.
And you can take that on yourself, but you can definitely take that too far, trying to be a saint. Now, you and me have a certain similarity in our backgrounds. We were both altar boys. That's right.
That's right. I was altar boy.
You were in the Catholic Church, and I was in the...
I like being an altar boy.
I did too. It was kind of neat. You get to drink wine when you were just a little kid, you know. And especially, we had the Jewish wine. We had
Manischewitz.
Manischewitz.
And Mogadeva.
Yeah, and I used to go with my dad to buy it. We had to go to a convent up on a hill in Virginia, in Richmond.
This is an Episcopal church.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But it had to be consecrated wine. Yeah. So you had to buy it from the sisters.
Yeah.
So we went up on that hill. It's now, what do you call it?
Chimborazo?
No, when you buy an apartment, condos.
Oh, condos. Yeah.
But it's an old historic building. Yeah. And when I went there, the sisters were in there.
Yeah.
And they distributed wine. They were bootlegging sisters. No, but it was great wine, and it's the only wine I've ever liked.
Yeah, sweet wine.
Yeah, it's like purple, and it's like grape juice. Stuff. Yeah, and just grape juice with a buzz. And if you were a altar boy,
yeah,
and the priest had made up too much wine at the end of the service, you had to get rid of it. You had to consume. He had to
scarf it down.
Yeah, and then he'd give it to you to help him scarf it down.
Yeah, it's a. I know what you're saying. That you have to. You can't pray over it a second time. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Catholic Church, it's actually transubstantiation. It's actually becomes not even wine anymore. It's part of the blood of Jesus.
That's what they say in the book.
Yes. No, I mean that's what they.
That's the stuff. That's the part of Christianity that always bothered me. I always talk about blood. Oh, and then it makes you think of Dracula. But weirdly enough, Dracula is a strong Christian figure.
Yeah.
The real Dracula
was in the Crusades.
Yeah, well, he was Vlad the Impaler, and he actually saved Europe from an invasion by the Muslims back then. He was so vicious, and he would impale people and all that. But if it hadn't been for good old Dracula down there near the border of Turkey, fighting those guys, we might be Muslim today.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. Do you know that there's a movie, the Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman, and they never
Coppola did.
Coppola made it, and at the beginning of it, they actually the prologue, I guess,
and
is him and you don't realize
symbolism. You don't realize it until you go back after.
Yeah, you don't realize what a terrible time that was, and you just let people just wiggle on those.
But you feel sorry what Vlad himself went through. He must have had a lot of. He was very religious, obviously. He must have had a lot of torn up demons in his mind about what he had to do.
You know, the problem in the Middle East that people say, it's like think of it as a new thing, or a thing in the 20th century, and actually it goes back to the Crusades. They were all fighting over that area.
Yeah,
at the Holy Land.
Well, it goes back before that.
Yeah.
The breakup of Rome, and Rome split up, the eastern part of Rome and the western part, and there were battles then. I can't remember it, but I was just I was posting documentaries about it.
Yeah.
If you go back on my Facebook page a little ways back, you can check some of this stuff.
Put it in the.
I like history. I like art history and hysterical things like that.
Hystericals.
And I miss not seeing good documentaries on TV anymore. There used to be in the 60s, 70s, and even in the 80s.
60 Minutes.
Yeah. Well, no, there were always special documentaries coming up. Yeah. And then there was a History Channel after 2000.
Yeah.
And I guess they're still doing stuff.
There's a lot of documentaries.
I unplugged my TV and I just use the computer.
We were talking earlier about Camera 3.
Camera 3.
On CBS.
We have Camera 1. We have actually 2 cameras, but we're only using one. And I'm not going to switch
in case the other one breaks.
Yeah.
The other one breaks down.
And those old cameras, and they would have the opening, and they were like weekly documentaries. They'd come on Sunday morning or right after
Kukla, Fran, and Ollie.
The
children's film.
If you're staying home from church, you'd watch it, or else it sometimes showed at 1 o'clock. Anyway, they'd have a big camera with 3 lenses on it.
Yeah.
And it was Camera 3 means 3 cameras, but anyway, it was cool.
There's also a show called Omnibus.
Omnibus. Yes. That was another good one.
Yeah. Then there was a show, I think.
You got to get on the bus. Go get on the bus.
Then there was a black show, a black documentary show called Black Omnibus.
Omnibus.
And I remember it because the narrator of it was James Earl Jones.
He was?
And I heard of James Earl Jones. I never saw him. The only time I ever
James
saw him was
Earl
on
Jones.
Sesame Street, giving the ABCD, and
That
he
guy's
was
a
a scary-looking guy with
he's
a
a
big bald
workaholic.
head.
Yeah.
A shaved head. He was playing Jack Johnson in The Great White Hope on Broadway, and that's why he looked the way. And then when I saw him in Black Omnibus, he had hair and a beard, and he didn't look like the guy from Sesame
And then he
Street.
played in The Interrupted Journey with Estelle Parsons. Hey,
That's
Barney, there's a big flying saucer.
Will you shut up, woman? I'm trying to look at this flying saucer here.
But Barney, what are we going to do?
Oh, woman, will you shut up?
Tell us about that.
But it was
You
good.
could get that on YouTube.
They
Tell us
remade-
about
they
it. was
remade-
a movie. I remember seeing it when I was a kid about an alien abduction.
It's a real life, one of the first and most famous alien abduction accounts. And they came out with a book, and of course my dad bought it. My dad was buying those books from the early 60s. Back when I suspect we were even abducted ourselves, because he suddenly got it. A lot of weird things happened. I've talked about that before, but
That explains everything.
that explains it all. And why not? It's a good excuse for being crazy. You see, I was abducted. See, that's why I'm the way I am.
Yeah.
So get off my back. But Barney,
That's the next presidential excuse.
yes.
He's upset. I was kidnapped by aliens,
They
and
couldn't have abducted.
that's why I couldn't do
They
it.
couldn't,
Replace
have
Obamacare.
abducted, they couldn't have abducted Donald because his hair wouldn't fit through the chute. You know, oh, it's getting stuck. It's getting stuck in their filter.
So this movie.
But
about
anyway,
James
Barney,
Earl
and
Jones.
it's called The Interrupted Journey, and then the movie I just posted it a little while back. I should do it again for Halloween, maybe, but
Yeah.
it's good and serious and well done. But they changed the name for the TV show.
Yeah.
Might have been a rights thing, and it's called Alien Abduction something. But the original story is Interrupted Journey by Barney and Betty Hill with a ghostwriter helping them.
Barney and Betty.
Barney and Betty Hill.
I've
One of
heard
the first interracial.
I remember them being
first
interracial.
interracial abductees.
Yeah,
But anyway,
which was
they didn't make a big thing about
yeah.
it. It was good, but they
they were an old couple.
they were middle aged.
They weren't like young people yet.
Well, they were
Yeah.
they were 40ish maybe.
Yeah.
Less than 40. But they
That's so old.
how old are we? I'm not going to get into that.
My varicose veins have varicose veins.
I'm going to erase your intellect. I'm going to erase
Your intellect right now. We
Keep
have
that thing away from me.
we have control.
I don't want to get white lung
over
disease.
brain, over all the brain waves. We can erase everything. Il n'y a pas de quoi, je ne sais pas, le ton au bout de la city. Dans la France. I should be in France. Why am I here? Hi. I'm back.
We used to have a joke.
Strange
about
device.
We used to have a joke about a guy getting his mind erased, and he goes, "Do you have anything to say?" And he goes, "Mamma mia!"
You only
Those
erased,
nasty jokes. when
you
we
only
were
erased one life.
kids.
But yeah, Barney and Betty Hill, The Interrupted Journey, and they were coming down through New Hampshire, I think, and they were very desolate road, nobody else on the road, out in the middle of the woods or the mountains, and suddenly there was this light and this thing off to the side of the road, and they were looking at it, and then they went on home, and then they found out there was like 3 hours missing in their
Yeah.
time, and then they found these weird marks
Yeah.
on the hood, or not the hood, the trunk of the car.
Yeah.
It was slick, circular marks, perfect circles in parallel lines, about 9 or 10 of them on the back of the hood. And they stayed there for a while. They couldn't make them go away. Then they finally faded away.
Yeah.
But then these other feelings and these weird dreams and memories.
They were hypnotized, I think.
Yeah, well, they
They
finally
took that stuff out.
went to a psychiatrist
Yeah.
and he hypnotized them, and they got all
Barnard
this-
Hughes
Barnard Hughes.
was the actor.
Oh,
Yeah. He was in Midnight Cowboy.
who played the psych?
He was
James Earl Jones.
James
played-
Earl Jones and Estelle Parsons were the
Yeah,
were
yeah,
the main.
Barney
Basically,
and
the only three actors.
Barney.
Anyway, they got all this stuff out and how they were abducted and the whole schmear, the whole detailed schmear. If you can, schmear, is that a technical term?
Something you put on a bagel. I think.
You go in there. They went in there with the grays, and they went in there and they were examined and everything and all the stuff, and that was really cool and very believable.
I remember seeing it
when
as
they
a
first
kid
came-
and
when
having
they first
quite
came
an
out.
effect on me.
Yeah, it feels real.
When you're a kid, you believe that you're going to be abducted by aliens and stuff.
Well, when
I'm still waiting.
it's on the back of my book. Where'd my book go? I don't know.
I got the book you wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I included some of that in my
Yeah.
book. Here's another chance to plug my book. Plug the book. Plug the book. Ezekiel saw a wheel.
Yeah. You get it on Amazon.
Yeah, and this is a vision that I had when I was about 5 years old of giant planets coming close to the Earth in the backyard, and that really happened to me. And then these other things, strange memories of going up Route 6 to my grandmother's house, and then in the middle of a storm, and then stopping at a certain place along the road. And right after that, Dad started drawing this cartoon character one day out in the driveway. He said it was in the middle of a road. And it was Melvin the Gunk, which you can barely see in that picture. Well,
Or in the book, you get a really good.
he's in it. Yeah. And I started drawing him and made him my first cartoon character. And there he is with his friend Stupid the Cat, which I created out of whole cloth.
Very good.
Out of my brain. But Melvin didn't have a mouth at first. The way my dad drew him, he had no mouth, which is kind of like aliens.
Yeah.
You know, and he was frightened in the middle of the road. And then later on, I was in my 40s or whatever, and we were having Thanksgiving dinner, and I started talking about driving up that old lonely road. And my brother, who's very conservative, he's kind of into this stuff and all, but he's a chemical engineer and he's pretty straight arrow. He started talking about, yeah, you remember that owl in the middle of the road? It was an owl in the middle of the road. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, and he was just staggering around. And I had read Whitley Strieber about 2 or 3 months before. I've told this story before. About Whitley Strieber talking about when you see an owl, have a memory of seeing an owl or a deer, that it's a supplanted memory that the aliens put in your brain so that you won't be so shocked.
Yeah.
You won't feel the total shock of meeting an alien, which, when you really think about it, it can really creep you out. Yeah, if you really see one of the things.
Yeah.
So they protect you. And, yeah.
I remember that movie. It was so good. And you get on the internet. And I remember that movie. What was kind of neat about that movie was it was like the first thing I ever saw with James Earl Jones in it. And years later, I made a movie with James Earl Jones. And he's the.
You were an extra.
I was an extra in the Vernon
movie?
John story, and it's the only time, I'd like to do imitations and everything. It's the only time I ever did an imitation to someone. Somebody actually heard me doing the imitation, and when we were in a scene with James Earl Jones, like during a break, he goes, "This guy does an imitation of you. You want to hear it?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'd like to hear it." And I was so nervous because I didn't sound. I mean, dang, the real guy's next to me.
So what did he say?
I just said it was a very short. I said, "This is CNN." And he laughed. He had a good sense of humor.
He said, "No, it's not."
So I got my picture taken with James Earl Jones, and so did my dad get a picture taken, and my niece got a picture taken with him. And I actually said, that I have nieces and nephews who are into Star Wars and into The Lion King, and I said, your grandfather and your uncle and your mother all were in a movie with a guy from. We have an affinity. A common link with the guy from Star Wars and the guy from The Lion King. Voices. Only voices.
You're from the dark side, Luke. I am your father.
Verizon.
Oh, that's why he's so threatening.
Yeah.
The evil empire.
Yeah.
Verizon's getting ready to roll out 5G.
Yeah.
Do you know about 5G?
I know.
Can you understand 5G? It's going to make the internet so much faster and everything faster. Well, it's fast enough.
I know. I can't keep up with it as it is.
Well, I tried to figure it out, and it's still a lot of craziness involved. It's because it's going to have to be broken up into little broadcasts of about several acres in size, and this goes from computer to computer, a little aerial to aerial, and it's like this block in your neighborhood will broadcast it to another block, to another block, to another block, and if everything isn't working quite right, it won't work.
One gap.
Yeah. You know, it won't have those towers. It won't have those towers. But look it up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But, I was thinking about buying stock in it, but the stock is already too.
It's already too dear.
But you ought to buy stock in hydrogen fuel cells.
Yes.
I believe in hydrogen fuels. That's going to save the world.
Yeah.
Hydrogen.
You know, the guy running for president, Biden, I think is his name. He wants to do away with the oil companies.
Biden, my time. Well, listen, the oil companies are going to do away with themselves.
And they should praise a Fuhrer. All the things Trump doesn't create a Fuhrer. One little slip of the tongue of Biden's. Now they're capitalizing on it.
Well, I believe that the future, anything that gets done in the world, even though I'm pretty liberal, at the same time, I guess I'm kind of conservative. I mean, the private sector is the only thing that really affects any change.
That's right.
You have to get the populace to have a big emotional response and say, we want that. We're going to buy that. You know, cars, we want Model Ts. Yeah. And then the things get bought, and they manufacture more, and it takes over. And now we're over-polluting the damn place. Yeah. In the beginning, Model Ts were a great idea. I love them.
Not everyone owns one.
Yeah, and I love cars, but I don't. And I used to get into the romance of the internal combustion engine.
Yeah.
But I would like to have an old 58 Pontiac or whatever and put a
steam engine.
No. Put a hydrogen fuel cell. What a hydrogen fuel cell does, if I can draw it here.
Is it bigger than a toaster?
It's not that big. It's not really that big. I think you can run your modern day engine on. You can make the pistons go with it. But what it does, it takes in. And I got to study it more. But it takes in oxygen.
Yeah. So do I.
It takes in oxygen. And you fill it up with a small amount of hydrogen, and it's quite inexpensive. Yeah. And they have stations.
Yeah.
They're already building stations.
Yeah, that's right.
California's got a bunch of them. And all the fork things. What's a fork thing?
Windmills?
No, it lifts things and moves.
Forklifts. Yeah.
All the forklifts.
Yeah.
I got to have him to help me tell.
Yeah.
Forklifts in Amazon. All of Amazon's forklifts run on these things because they couldn't breathe inside the warehouses.
Yeah.
And anyway, and there's several companies that have great big trucks, and buses running on these things. Mm-hmm. So if you can run all those things, you can certainly run cars.
Yeah.
And these fuel cells take in oxygen, and you add a certain amount of hydrogen into it. And the reaction in there.
I know what it turns into.
Wait a minute. It does two things. It creates energy in the form of what? Electricity.
Okay.
In other words, it's a self-recharging electrical motor.
Okay.
And all you got to do is add some hydrogen every once in a while. You don't have to charge it up. It's recharging as it works. Yeah. That's the beauty of this thing. And what comes out the exhaust pipe?
Water.
Cool, each day
water.
I face the barren waste without a taste of water. Cool water.
Sons of the Pioneers.
Yes, and if you have your hydrogen fuel cell car, you won't have to worry about water because you can go stick your mouth on the pipe. And you'll still burn your lips because it's going to be hot.
Yeah.
But hold a jar up to it and you'll get some water.
Get distilled water with it.
Yeah.
You get the cleanest water ever.
And this thing, this hydrogen
Once
fuel,
it gets past all the grease.
fuel cell, which isn't very big, can run your engine. I'm not sure what kind of engine. There are guys. There's always these guys doing stuff in their garages.
Yeah.
There's guys in their garage. You can Google this stuff, and they're making it themselves.
Yeah.
But it's like the guys that used to run cars on McDonald's grease,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But the average person
Never run out of that.
Yeah. Well, not everybody's into fixing, making stuff in their garage, inventing things. You want to be able to buy it, turn the key, and go. Turnkey. And that's what's going on with the hydrogen fuel cell. The company I recommend is Plug Power Incorporated.
Yeah.
Plug Power. And I bought stock in it, so I have a
So he's gonna.
self-interest in it here. But, all right, if there are other companies trying to do it too, but that's the wave of the future. My friends, this is Garner Ted Armstrong telling you the wave of the future is hydrogen fuel cells.
He was that preacher got embroiled in a scandal, right?
Yeah.
Oh, which
Well,
one? They all do.
But that was
Sooner or
because
later.
his dad didn't like him having an affair.
Yeah.
As you have sinned, my boy, you will get off the radio. But I like to.
It was on the WRVA.
Yeah.
In the 960s.
It was Garner Ted Armstrong, The Wonderful World Tomorrow. What it will
A magazine.
be like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dad was religious. Every night he'd sit there and listen to Garner Ted, and I'd come there and lean on the bed while Dad, and I listened to him too.
I used to listen to WLEE to listen to pop songs when I was a kid, and my mom would say, "Will you turn off that noise pollution?"
Yeah. I want everybody to see hydrogen fuel cell.
You did a good job.
Okay. And
You should do a TED talk on those.
as soon as I can figure out
Get a headset.
I got to figure out the angle.
Or a headset.
Yeah, it's very hard to draw when you're not looking at what you're drawing.
Yeah.
But I'll figure it out. I'm going to do. In fact, I've just started. I'm going to do some stuff from my drawing desk with this camera and show you little lessons and things about drawing and animating and
Back to the drawing board.
have fun with it.
Back to the drawing board.
We'll have a happy little paintbrush painting the little tree. Yes, I got to get an afro. I'll have to wear an afro. But like Bob Ross.
When he's something.
Yeah, or something. But
I used to love that stuff.
I liked even before him. There was the Mighty Alexander.
Yeah.
Before him.
Painter.
Yeah, he learned from the Mighty Alexander, the German guy.
Yeah.
He says, we're going to do the happy little mountain and the happy little brook and the happy fence post. There he goes.
You will enjoy doing this.
Jawohl!
You will.
But he was a happy Nazi.
Yeah.
He was a nice, happy Nazi. I liked it.
You know, every once in a while I'll read about someone like Albert Speer, and they'll always refer to him as an ex-Nazi or a former Nazi. And I always think, I don't know, once you're a Nazi, you're pretty much always a Nazi.
I don't know, but Werner von Braun, my uncle worked for Werner von Braun.
What was he like?
He told me something. I can't
The
remember.
rocket guy?
Yeah, the rocket guy. My uncle worked for NASA. He worked for NASA, and then Werner von Braun was the head guy.
The Nazis.
Yeah.
He was, I think, Dr. Strangelove was based on him.
Yeah, or Henry Kissinger, too.
Yeah. But Henry Kissinger wasn't really in the picture in the early 1960s.
No, but there was a story about Kubrick or somebody that went to a party, and there was this guy that talked like this and was so fascinating, and it turned out to be Henry Kissinger. The guy was so fascinating, he put him in the movie. I'm not sure if Kubrick was the guy. Here we go talking about Kubrick again.
But you know, Henry Kissinger was kind of neat. It took a long time before they put him in front of a microphone because you'd always see him at meetings and stuff, but you didn't. And then the people he worked with know what he spoke like, but no one. And then eventually you couldn't shut him up. He was always on talk shows.
Mesmerized by his voice.
And he's still alive.
That's right.
Yeah, he's on almost 100.
They still have him on news shows. He'll come in. What does Henry think? You know. Yes, well. I just came off my dilation. They woke me up in the hospital. Yes, I'll give you my opinion. And I keep in touch with my brainwaves. You know.
There's a famous joke that even Henry Kissinger tells where they said that he had brothers that had American accents, but he didn't have an American accent. He still kept his German accent. And
they took up more chicks that way.
No, they said, why? How come they have American accents and you've been in America so many years? You still have a German accent.
You pick up chicks that way.
And he said, he says, he's the Kissinger that doesn't listen.
Who said that? His brother?
Yeah, his brother said he's the that doesn't listen.
I'd like to see what his brothers look like. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you see people, and then I noticed this when I was in college. These people would act really cool when I knew them, like for 3 years or 4 years, and then I would meet their parents for the first time graduation weekend, and these cool kids were no longer cool. They were basically like ventriloquist dummies when their parents were around. Whatever, anything you asked them, they looked at their parents, because their parents were there for graduation weekend.
I remember this guy. I don't want to put him down, and I won't say who he was. Very good-looking guy.
Thank you.
Hardly. No, it wasn't you. This guy was blonde. Anyway, he wouldn't talk much. He just kind of, one of those guys that just kind of, well, what do you think? Anyway, he hardly ever spoke.
Yeah.
He got straight A's. Yeah. He was like a straight A student, but he never had anything to say. I think he just soaked it up and he was good at passing tests.
Yeah.
But it was strange. He was a nice guy. I liked him.
If I was in
but he didn't say much.
College again, I wouldn't run my mouth so much. I'd actually listen to what the teachers said.
And now it's coming back.
I'd be smarter.
Now it's coming back.
Because actually, the smartest things I do is when I'm not saying anything. Like when I'm reading, and I'm not yammering when I'm reading. I'm just reading, and then when I'm talking to you right now, I'm not learning it.
It's like we have
I'm just telling what I already know.
It's like a total other personality comes over us when we're in different situations.
Yeah,
and it's like we're different, several different people all compressed in there. Yeah, trying to do something spooky. I don't know why
Bach.
J.S. Bach. That was stuff was written for church, but now it's synonymous with horror movies.
Toccata and fugue in D minor. Oh, that was great. Someone tried to explain to me what a fugue was, and because you hear a lot.
I didn't even get to the fugue. That was the toccata.
Yeah,
that was the toccata.
Fugue is like Three Blind Mice or Row Your Boat. It just keeps repeating in the middle and keep going until the end. It's a great flourish. Yeah, that's
I'm doing it wrong. Yeah,
that's one of my favorite pieces.
That's called the Little Fugue.
The Little Fugue, yeah.
That's a great piece.
Little Fugue with a big sound.
Yeah.
That's what they say. It's only like 3.5 minutes long, but it's so good. By Bach. And, by
we
the way,
had a Bach up the street who raised tomatoes. But they were very good tomatoes. big tomatoes. They were good. I used to love to go to Mr. Bach's house and get those.
Name Bach.
It's Fred Bach.
B-A-C-H.
When I was a kid, I thought his name was Box.
Batch.
No, Box. Well, I'd hear Dad say it, I thought it was Mr. Box, B-O-X. But then I found out it was B-A-C-H. He looked kind of German, big, tall guy with a big, wide brim straw hat, raising tomatoes.
Yeah.
Had a big property, and he raised great, big, beautiful beef
Box
steak.
tomatoes.
They were so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he still with us?
No, he got a long time.
He took the tomatoes with him.
Took the tomatoes. Took his recipe. Hey, he told me the recipe though. He put manure manure in the soil.
An undertaste. It tastes.
And then when
highlights.
and then when you pick them,
footnotes.
cover them over with manure.
You know, when they told me,
there's a strange pungent. I can't quite. Je ne sais quoi taste to these tomatoes.
You know, the person who convinced the world to use manure like cow manure or horse manure as fertilizer to grow better vegetables was the greatest not the greatest but the greatest salesman of all time.
Well, the Indians taught Thomas Jefferson to eat tomatoes.
Yeah,
tomatoes.
Well, I'm not talking about tomatoes. I'm talking about manure.
That's why Virginia is so famous for its tomatoes. They came from here.
Yeah.
They came from other places too, but I mean they would grow, and they do grow wild in the woods. Little bitty yellow ones, little bitty small cherry tomatoes. They grow wild, but you can. What do you call it when you cultivate?
Yeah,
cultivate them to become bigger.
Nothing better than a good tomato.
There goes the hydrogen. Yes, and then now there's all this stuff on the internet saying there's one vegetable you got to take out of your diet that's killing America, and it's tomatoes.
Well, the craziest thing, you have to keep clicking over and over and over before you get to the last.
You got to go through all this stuff.
And then and
then you got to buy my book.
Yeah, you have to buy
the book. As if I'm going to be in the mood to buy a damn book.
They call it clickbait.
I know it.
Yeah, I wish they just had the one page where I could just read.
They don't realize how many people are spitting at their screen and cracking their screen.
There's a lot of crazy stuff on the internet.
And they keep doing the same style of commercial over and over and over. And they all have that same, ukulele music and whistling, and people. We got to sell this car. We got to sell this manure. We got to sell this lawn chair. We're going to make you suburban and happy. I can just see them in these recording sessions.
Yeah.
And they say, okay, get the hand claps. We got it already on file.
You know what
commercials used to be creative.
I once impressed a girl once by listen to this once I did. No, I said, when I'm on YouTube, and they always say, this ad will end in 5 seconds or something, and then you skip ad. I always skip the ad, and she says, I do too! What's the odds of meeting a guy like you that does the same thing I do? Everybody does that!
I gotta think everybody's doing it.
But I tried to convince her that only she and I were the only ones who did
But
that.
some broadcasters on the whatever you call them, I mean, they gotta find a way to make some money, If they're fair about it, I don't mind. It's more like TV in the old days where you'd have a commercial every now and then, and they're pretty good commercials. Then you go back to the movie, and I understand that. But if they just keep dead every half a second, if they're fair about it, I don't mind, and I might even watch the commercial. And then when you skip the ad, you really skip the ad. A lot of them are good. Daily Motion is good with that, and.
When I was a kid, there was always they do this in a lot of cities. They don't do it anymore. They used to have these all-night used car lots where guys would sell on TV. Come to the used car lot.
Well,
and then a guy, a host, and he always said, "Then you just bought yourself a Ford Galaxy."
Yeah. Well, the thing is about those kind of ads. The car dealer was his own producer.
Yeah.
That's why they were so bad and quote so good.
Yeah.
Like that guy in Norfolk that had a stuffed rhino. He says, "Yeah, me and my stuffed rhino Buford here," and he had a rhino wearing a Stetson hat.
Yeah.
"We're gonna make you a deal." And those guys were producing their own, and some of them got rich doing that. We had Madman Dapper Dan.
That's right.
If I'd give them away, but my wife won't let me. And he made a lot of money, and he had a big mansion that looked like a flying saucer.
Yeah.
Up over the James River.
Yeah.
We used to go driving by and say, "There's Dapper Dan's house," and it was big.
Yeah.
Big shiny. He was from outer space.
Yeah, keep all those cars there. Now, did you ever meet him?
No, but he used to come on. I remember him being on TV.
Yeah, I saw him on TV. Yeah.
But he was around for many years. There's some old photographs from the 30s or so.
Yeah.
Of his lot.
Yeah.
In Richmond, so he was getting up in years in the 60s.
Yeah.
But he was still on the TV in the 60s.
It was Just Du Bois.
Just Du Bois. Now, he's got an interesting history. Just Du Bois. The Richmond Chrysler Plymouth beat goes on.
Yeah.
But you know what he's also
What?
strangely famous for?
What?
There was a rock hit record.
Yeah.
It was produced by the Rocketeens
Yeah.
out of Richmond, or out of Virginia, somewhere in Virginia. And it went, woo-hoo, woo-hoo.
Yeah.
It was called Woohoo.
Oh, I know that song. Yeah, I've heard that song. Yeah.
Well, the guy that did Woohoo was Just Du Bois. Yeah.
One hit.
Woohoo, woohoo.
You should have did a whole concert, 2-hour concert.
I
Just
know
went,
it.
woohoo, woohoo.
And keep overdubbing him and do a big fugue.
He could be the fourth stooge.
Yeah.
He could have been the-
Hey, Mom, we got a new stooge. Hey.
No.
Oh, you knucklehead. Get out of here.
So they would have these late night. They used to sell cars, and I remember those were. They were like one camera. They used to always. Always said, and we're losing money on this. We're going to sell it $1 more than our cost. Did they really lose money? I don't think so. $1 more
They
than
had it
cost.
figured out.
They had all the odds. You know, you could buy a car for something like $3, but after the financing is going, it would probably cost you $12,000.
They made it look like you were getting a real deal.
Yes.
That's how they got them in there.
Or weatherproofing and rustproofing.
And sometimes announcers would get a deal and working for a car dealership. That was good, steady work for actors. And Mark Joy did that for a while.
Yeah.
He used to do that with Sheehy Ford.
That's right.
Sheehy Ford. I'm Mark down for Sheehy Ford. Hi, Mark. I hope you see this. He's a good friend of mine. He's a great guy.
He went from John
Great
Waters to Sheehy Ford.
John Waters.
I don't know. Maybe that's a plus.
Was he in a John Waters?
He's in a couple of them.
My cousin was a close friend of John Waters for a while.
John
in Baltimore.
Yeah.
My cousin's a
He
Baltimore.
a big part in one
Dan
of them.
Van Allen.
Becker, I think it's the
Dan
one.
Van Allen, a very unique Baltimore artist, and also furniture
Mark's a good guy.
restorer. He restores wood products, but he's got a house that's painted up like an Egyptian
Who's this?
tomb. My cousin Dan Van Allen.
Dan.
He lives in the old
Dan Van?
Dan Van. That's right. Danny. We call him Cousin Danny. But he's got one of those old houses in the old part of Baltimore, and each floor is painted. Well, the walls are all painted in a different style. Some of them are Egyptian, and very creative other stuff. I made a video of it, which I haven't shown because I haven't gotten the technical stuff together, but I do plan to show that.
This guy owned a skate key before they invented roller skates. Just waiting for the roller skates.
I never could. I never could get very good on roller skates. I got good on ice skates up in Canada. For some reason, ice skates are easier.
Yeah.
That single blade on ice, you can control it. But roller skates, it feels like each wheel is going in a different direction.
I feel that you know, I used to be proficient at roller skating because you had 4 wheels on a foot, but on the thin blade, I can do it, but I can't do it like I can.
Don't you feel in your foot that each wheel is one's going west, one going northwest, one's going southeast, one's going.
I went ice skating at Kings Dominion last 2 years, and I was surprised how well I did at it. I didn't fall. There's actually video.
Well, they say if you start on one, you go.
You're and I mean, I actually posted it on my page to show people. Oh, not bad for how old am I? 45 years old. 45-year-old man. Yeah. I was 45 then.
Well,
now I'm 46.
If I hadn't lived through 3 winters in Ottawa, Canada, and kept at it, I wouldn't have gotten as good as I got. And I hope I can still do it. But they have a whole canal, like 3 miles of ice. It's the world. They call it the world's largest skating rink. Yeah, it's a canal.
It's very exhilarating. Go skating, either roller or
and
ice skating.
They built that canal to stop you Yanks from invading us. They always remind you it was built after the War of 1812 when you invaded us. What? I didn't know we did. Did we invade Canada?
I think if Trump is
don't forget it, but I never knew it.
I think if Trump is reelected, the Canadians are going to build a wall.
That would be an idea. That would be an
To
idea.
fortify the one you just mentioned.
But the Rideau Canal is a beautiful thing and a lot of fun. And they had a big festival, ice festival.
Yeah.
And they sold elephant ears. And I was learning.
That's a type
I was
of,
learning to skate, and I
funnel
was
cake, right?
yeah. It's like a big.
Not a real elephant.
Well, it's not. It's a big thing. It's like an elephant ear, big beaver tail. Call them beaver tails.
Beaver
up there.
tail. Yeah.
Same thing.
Same.
And put stuff on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was learning to skate, and I was coming over to a beaver tail kiosk, and I was going to crash right into the thing. I was going, wait. Then I suddenly, I stopped. And I was great. And a friend of mine took a picture,
Yeah.
and I just suddenly stopped.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened when I was doing skis. I was going down a mountain, and they got to this. My friends had gone over this thing, like a kind of a jump. And I said, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" Yeah. And I went, and I stopped. Like at some point, these things you saw in the movies take over. You've seen John Keeley, what's his name?
Jean-Claude Keeley.
One of these guys.
Yeah.
You'd see it in the movies or on TV, and you do it.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened when I rode a horse. I was galloping for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was ducking under trees.
Oh,
I never galloped on a horse. I just suddenly thought of John Wayne, and I acted like John Wayne. And I went, "Whoa, Pilgrim!"
Whoa.
And he stopped.
I'll get it.
Oh, I'm gonna get.
That'll be the day.
Now we're gonna hobble our way back to the barn, and I want no funny business. But I was exhilarated that time. I galloped.
Riding a horse, yeah.
Yeah, it was like you're riding like the wind.
My resume for acting parts always says I can ride a horse, but I can't ride a horse.
Well, I've done some trail riding, the kind where you're
been on
clip clop, and that was all I'd ever done
in a controlled setting.
Well, this was supposed to be a controlled setting, but the horse had other ideas, and they gave me Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
Jelly Roll was a beautiful roan red horse, and he was ready to go, and he sensed I could hang on for the ride, and I did. And he just wanted to run, and I just rode with him. And there was a big oak tree coming at me, a big low limb, and I went under.
Yeah.
I felt like I was in a B Western.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that could really, you could kill yourself.
Well, you got to trust the horse. The horse knows what he's doing. I had to keep my head lower than his head. I figured, I'd be safe if I ducked my head down as low as his head.
Well, what's his name? Superman. Christopher Lee. He fell off. He was thrown off a horse, and of course, eventually killed him.
Yeah,
and I think that he was a big guy, and I have a feeling he might have been too big for the horse. That's why jockeys aren't big guys. I mean, I
don't know. There are different size horses that you can get for different people. But interesting about that, my cousin was in the hospital on the same ward with him.
Oh, in Charlottesville,
Yeah, with the same basic injury.
Mm.
And she's alive today, and she's in a wheelchair. She had
fell off a horse.
No, she was in a car wreck. But the same basic injury, her spine was injured. Yeah. I got to get to see Robin.
If
you're watching Robin, hi Robin, we got to get together.
They haven't fixed that's one element of medicine that they haven't. I mean, probably done a lot anyway, but they haven't been able to repair spinal cords once they're broken. Yeah.
One of these days, it'll be like Dr. McCoy and Spock in that operation they did on Star Trek, and my hands were just going like this. I don't know how they did that. And
that'll work.
One of these days, we will have McCoy science. Well, Jim, I'm just a country doctor. Just a country.
The Forrest Kelly. Oh man, I used to watch. You watch Star Trek. I always got lost watching Star Trek. I never was a Star Trek fan. I liked Lost in Space because there was a little boy on there.
Well,
at my age,
I was lost when it first came on, except for the Salt Monster. I love the Salt Monster. And I can understand that. And then that Doomsday Machine, where the Planet Killer,
Is that Lost in Space?
No, Star Trek.
Sorry, I never watched
Those two episodes were very visual,
Yeah.
and you knew you had to stop it by something very visual, and they rammed it with another starship, and they had to beam him off in time. Boom, crash. I can understand that, but all that verbal stuff, all that socio-political, whatever. And
quite a sophisticated show.
But then the reruns, that's when all the Trekkies were born, was when it went into summer reruns.
Yeah.
And I was one of those.
Yeah. It was on for 3 years and hardly anyone watched it, and then reruns showing it every day after school.
Well, in the summer, I remember just getting into it. Yeah. And I was at the right age at that point to even consider what logic was. You had Spock talking about logic, and you had Kirk with emotion. And Spock with logic, Kirk with emotion. Spock with logic, Kirk with emotion. And then Dr. McCoy in the middle saying, "Shut up, both of you! I want to get back to the clinic." But those are great archetypes.
There's also a lot
talking
of
about the two
interracial. There's also interracial.
Yeah, interracial. A lot of stuff. Yeah. Everything about the 60s that was going on, and overpopulation that was still orbiting Gideon. Yeah. And all those people on that planet, they were walking around, it was overpopulated. I started becoming aware of overpopulation with that episode. Yeah. Everybody on that planet. And they finally said, "Thankfully, we can die. You've been giving us a virus. We can die." And dying, when you think about it, it's a scary thing, but it is a most wonderful gift from the great Creator. And if you believe like I do in reincarnation, it's a great system. What are you going to do about it?
There'd be so many people on Earth if no one died.
Yeah.
And all our natural resources would be. But you know the craziest thing, I heard this years ago. Someone told me this, that there's more people. There's 7 billion people living today on Earth. There are more people. No, 7 billion, but there's more people alive today than have died in history.
Yeah. and the planet is dying.
Yeah.
The planet is dying, and the species, it is not good.
Yeah.
So we got to start changing the way we get our energy, and that's why the hydrogen fuel cells. I mean,
I want to live
just
forever.
think of it. Oh yeah, you want to be you forever?
It's taken me this long to be me.
Yeah.
That's why I've never taken hallucinogens or anything, because it's worked so hard to get my character the way I wanted it that I don't want to mess it up.
And you want to walk around with the same material for
I want to be as intelligent. I certainly want to be as intelligent as I. I always think every day I get smarter, so I certainly don't want to take a step back.
Well, believe me, the other side exists. I've talked to it, and I had my foot healed by it. Anyway, yeah, it was a healing, psychic healing. I was born with a flat foot, and it's given me problems all my life. But after my wife's grandmother, who was a psychic, we were in a circle, sort of a seance, and the spirits came through, and I was complaining about my foot, and they said, "We're going to heal that foot. We're going to heal that foot." And I went into a trance. Everything went black, and I couldn't move, but it felt good, and I was like there for 20 minutes. When I came out of it, after that, I noticed my foot was strong, and it's been strong ever since.
There you go. That's what
I mean, it's nothing to be...
Is it still flat, or does it have an arch on it?
No, it's still flat, but the muscle in that flat place got really strong.
Yeah.
It's the muscle in the flat. I got one that's arched, and the arched foot today is the weaker one. Yeah. Now there are times
you're steadier on flat feet. I would say.
Yeah, and a lot of people being arched foot isn't necessarily. A lot of people that have total flat feet, they call it. There's one thing they call fallen arches when your feet fall, but this is not that. I was born that way, and then my muscle after that event. And exercising, I guess. But anyway, I was always exercising.
I think it's your born.
I was born with
I
it,
mean, with
but my
either
mother,
flat or-
my mother was always trying to put corrective
I
shoes.
know.
I hated corrective.
My parents did the same
They
thing.
had these Winkler shoes.
I know.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you have
Or
flat? Did you have flat or?
No, they
I
assumed
noticed
I
you're wearing,
did.
I noticed you're wearing sandals, so we can
No,
check.
don't.
We can check.
You only. No one sees me from the waist up. You don't want to see what I look like. I'm wearing blue
He's wearing
jeans,
sandals, folks.
wearing boxer shorts,
Yeah.
wearing 2 different socks and sandals.
You're a
It looks
typical, you're a
awful.
typical announcer.
Oh, by the way, speaking
Walter Cronkite wore
speaking of
polka dot
clothes-
undies underneath his desk.
he wore
Johnny-
stockings and a
Johnny
garter belt.
Carson wore striped pajamas.
He wore garter belt and stockings. Anyway, Walter Cronkite. Listen to this. This is my orange because of this. I don't know if we're doing a show next week, but we might do a show next
We
week
might
for
do a
Halloween.
show.
This is my
Halloween.
orange handkerchief. I'm dressed for Halloween.
Can I pull it out?
No, don't.
No. And now we will make him disappear.
I got this from. It's still here. I got this from a S&W cafeteria years ago.
Oh, that was good. Oh yeah, it was a napkin.
Yeah, there's a napkin.
S&W.
That's why I didn't want you to pull it out so everyone knew.
I used
my
to
trick.
love eating at S&W.
Yeah.
It was the most boring looking place.
Yeah,
It looked like
little long.
you're going into a bank.
Yeah.
But you went in there and had these mashed potatoes and turkey
Yeah.
and green beans, and I loved it very much.
Cafeterias are a big thing, and this is a tie. I can't. It looks like a bunch of garbage, but actually, if you look close, I mean, if you can look closely, no, it's actually Halloween tie, and
That's a
and
good
you're supposed
shot,
to find and you're supposed to find where Waldo is.
Oh my God!
So I'm not gonna
See if
tell
I
you.
can
Well,
find-
if you can,
Where's Waldo? Yeah, where is Waldo?
no one else can see this, but you.
Well, that's pretty weird stuff.
Yeah, there's
Is that
the
somewhere
vampire and the Wolfman.
I don't know, but I found a kid from The Simpsons.
Well, actually, the thing about finding Waldo is not all that hard. You just look for his hat
You keep putting your
or his
hand
shirt.
out. Yeah,
Oh, wait.
yeah, Waldo.
You're the first person actually to look for Waldo on it. I just usually tell people.
It's a big fake. It's a fake news. Is what it
You know what Waldo looks like?
Yeah, I know Waldo. Looks like. Oh, there's the guy.
There
with
he
the
is with
shirt.
the hat. Yeah,
With
that's
the shirt.
that's
I see
right.
the shirt anyway.
See if I can get it close. That's Waldo right there. I think it's right there. There he is.
It's fake.
It's not very practical as a tie,
Supposed to
though.
find Donald.
It just looks like a bunch of garbage from far away. It looks kind of neat. I noticed something about ties is that like artists. I love artists. There's certain abstract artists like Mondrian and and Jackson Pollock, and then there are like these real artistic ones like Michelangelo or Da Vinci. Their paintings don't look so great on ties, but the more abstract it is, or like a Picasso abstract,
yeah.
they look kind of cool on ties.
Well, it's called graphic design. It's,
Mondrian looks great on a tie.
well, that's all it is. I mean, those guys in the garment district have been doing modern art for ages. You know?
All those
Just things like
Paisleys
that.
and everything. Paisleys
Yeah, the Scots invented modern art. We were doing kilts that had modern art that could blow Mondrian out of the water, lad. Yes, it's the truth. Yes.
Before we leave, I gotta ask you about a certain animator.
I can't talk anymore.
I saw a movie by with Jerry Lewis. He like wrote it and everything, and it was directed by Frank Tashlin.
Yes.
And he was a great animator. Tell me a little bit about Frank Tashlin.
Frank Tashlin was one of the great
Did a lot of Jerry Lewis movies. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was one of the great but kind of forgotten, but still great Warner Brothers animators from the 30s and into the 40s. Just like Bob Clampett and Friz Freleng and Chuck Jones, Frank Tashlin was right in there. And he did some very innovative cartoons. Sometimes he would work in Art Deco stuff into it was a Porky Pig cartoon. The only one that ever had Petunia Pig.
Yeah.
Her only appearance in animation.
Yeah.
She later appeared in comic books. But
Yeah. You never saw her in animation. Yeah.
no, that was just one cartoon, and it was a
Wow.
Frank Tashlin cartoon. He did several very good draftsmen. And back in the 30s, he was also doing comic strips that appeared in the Los Angeles papers.
Los Angeles Times.
And he would sign his name Tish Tash. So if you ever find an old comic strip that says Tish Tash, buy it. It's kind of a collector's item. And he could draw very well, and he could do his own stories and all that. And then he made the transition. You know, all the animators, myself included, wanted a chance to direct feature films. I mean, that's why you get into business, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, you love animation, but it's a hard business, and you do a lot of work for not much money, and and in my generation, you're mostly doing commercials, selling junk food or whatever.
I think Fellini was an animator in Italy.
I didn't know.
But I mean, he was a famous one.
Really?
He just went from
he has
in the directing.
He has a good artistic sense. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I've never heard. But anyway, Tashlin, sometime in the late 40s, or he talked somebody into letting him direct, and I thought he did a Horn Blows at Midnight, but he didn't.
No, that's Raoul Walsh.
Yeah, but he may have worked on that.
He probably worked on it.
There was some fantastic gadgets, you know, with the coffee cup.
Oh, yeah.
That's the kind of stuff Frank Tashlin did.
Yeah.
And he may have worked. I looked on the credits anyway, but he did start doing stuff like that.
Weren't on Lewis movies.
And he did later on. He did that. He also did Jane Mansfield, the girl.
The girl can't help it. Probably his greatest work.
And he did your favorite guy,
Tony Randall.
Tony Randall,
as Hercule Poirot.
Will the success spoil?
Oh yeah, he did that. Yeah, but he also did. Believe it or not, he played Hercule Poirot in an English movie directed by Frank Tashlin.
Yeah.
I forget the Sleeping Car Murders or something. And it's a different from any Hercule Poirot movie you have seen. In recent years.
Great
it's
animation.
Kind of a comic.
Another great animation director, Tex Avery, tried very hard to make the transition. He was trying to sell some Red Skelton movie ideas.
Yeah.
He was at this MGM's lot, and he would give them all these ideas and everything, and the producer, they'd be laughing at his ideas. He'd show them drawings, but they wouldn't give him a job.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, Tashlin is the guy that pulled it off.
Yeah.
And really did. Jones, to a slight degree, directed a little bit of. He did those monkeys.
So what? Chuck Jones?
Chuck Jones, he did those Lancelot Link.
Oh,
Lance. Chuck Jones directed
I didn't know those.
Yeah.
Those are great.
And he did a couple of animated features of
Lance Link Secret Chip.
Lance Link. They were hilarious.
They were.
And they had one that did Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, that's right.
Right here. Right here. I don't know how they got that. He would twirl around.
That was when chimps used to be cute.
Yeah.
Before they started tearing people's faces off and everything. I mean, they're rough.
Mad and man. They're very strong.
Yeah, a 75-pound chimp is stronger than like a 200-pound man. Yeah.
It's because they eat just leaves and stuff and weed all the time.
They're always in a bad mood too. I mean, I found out that the chimps you see in skits and comedy shows, they're all babies, and once they get to be like a couple of years old, they retire them because they don't want to. They don't want to risk it.
Yeah. And we got 98% or more of their DNA.
That's right.
But
some people evolve and some animals don't.
They showed a baby. Actually, gorillas are nicer to hang out with than chimps. Yeah. Gorillas are much more gentle, but they're very strong. But I don't know how they get those noses, or how they keep from getting sinus conditions. But I guess it seems like the desert or the jungle stuff would blow up there. But there was a picture of a baby that was born in Boston Zoo. Yeah. And it's huge eyes and white skin and big, giant. It looks like the theory of aliens interbreeding. It looks like half alien. Man, it's weird. The face only interbreeding ancient alien could love. But it's fascinating. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I think we've come to the end. Why don't you play us out? Let's play. Oh, one last thing I got to tell you. One last thing. You played Dvorak last week, and Dvorak, you don't have to play it now, but that is my favorite music, and I went to see his house in Prague when I was there. And
you went to Prague?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Prague.
It's wonderful.
I had a girlfriend from Prague.
And so I was so play something really nice for us.
I don't know. whatever will come. I was gonna do something spooky.
Play something spooky.
I don't know. Let's see. Just go with it.
Make you meditate.
Just turning the wheel of the fortune here. The pipes are calling.
Ah, that was wonderful.
A little bit of Scottish input there.
Yes.
I hear the lads from
This was
Scotland.
Van Allen's attic. This is the wonderful, the illustrious Keith Van Allen.
That's him, and this is me. And
My name's Kaye Lazar.
two separate entities here. We're gonna be cloned together at some point. We'll have our heads sewn together,
like Rosie Greer and Ray Milland.
Yeah, right. Hey.
All right, good to see you, my friend.
Yeah. I want
What a wonderful
I
show.
want to get a coffee cup sewn to my head.
There you go.
Is it off?
Not yet.